Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is October 2nd and we're doing business and security for the middle of the week.
It is a bad time to be job searching in the tech sector. Really bad. Maybe catastrophically bad. Which tells you how serious these people are. They're willing to jump through those hoops and go through that gauntlet than to deal with this.
The Arctic headline is most Amazon workers considering job hunting due to 5-day in-office policy. Now, this is a move up from 3 days a week that you have to be in the office to 5 days a week that you have to be in the office. And there's the results of the poll leaked. Only 9% of Amazon employees were okay with being in the office 5 days a week.
Do you think that 9% is all like middle management?
Yeah, or folks that are just like, please, I don't want to lose my job. Please, I don't want to lose my job. Please, I don't want to lose my job. So it's interesting. But also, think about the juxtaposition of all of the AI, like the record AI sales, and AI products going back to like the V100, like NVIDIA's V100. That is ancient at this point. And all of that hardware is still online and operational and sucking power from the power grid like no tomorrow. And those systems require a lot of programmers to do stuff. And yet, the Amazon thing.
Well, I think these were mostly corporate type people, right? Not engineers.
Well, yes, but there's also a lot of layoffs in programming and everything else. But my point's more like AI is being very disruptive at all levels, and this is also kind of a stealth layoff.
Yeah, that's it. Everything I was reading about this, people were like, this is just them trying to avoid having to say, oh, we fired a bunch of people right before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're clearly using that AI, right? Or planning to. And Intel is a company that has been having a really bad time. They've had, they were not doing great, and then a couple of things happened that really just sort of pushed them over the edge. And the turkey vultures are circling at this point, because that's a juicy snack.
The Wall Street Journal headline is, Qualcomm approached Intel about a takeover in recent days. However, this headline is entirely made up by the Wall Street bros and has no basis in reality. Wall Street Journal is not going to tell you that, because that doesn't help manipulate the stock price.
I'm sure
It's a
that
Succession storyline.
I'm sure that they've made it, put some feelers out. But this article pointed out there's no way the government would allow that to happen in this day and age. Come on, they want to break Intel up.
The situation with this story and the Amazon story is like, you, our viewer, we would encourage you to use your brain and see what reality thing is really happening as opposed to whatever is written there, because these things are not really. What they say and what the actions are not remotely connected to one another. Intel is a house that, think of it just as like a steel box. It's a cinder block box with a steel roof, and inside it is $90 billion worth of gold. And it's for sale for $85 billion. And so like, if you bought the house for $85 billion, you would have an asset worth $90 billion. I think Intel's worth, like the stuff that Intel owns is worth a lot more and so it's a very weird situation. But if you can make up a bunch of stuff and buy low, and then you can just make a lot of money. But Intel's stock price really hasn't done super well historically, because I don't think they've had anybody savvy playing the game on the other side. So I don't know. It's a mess. Like, can't we just make a good product and then get people to buy it? Like,
Line must go up.
It's got to be a good product though. It's not great when it's a bad product.
Well, they've got some good news for you. However, this good news does contradict what they said originally when this happened.
Intel 13th and 14th Gen desktop instability root cause update. This is Intel's blog post. This is really good. You should read this if you have a 13th or 14th Gen Intel desktop CPU, or you have a friend that has a Intel 13th or 14th Gen CPU. But they figured out the source of the problem, and it was a combination of issues. And then remind me again what they said initially.
Motherboards.
Yeah. And so it turns
out...
They
still put that first.
But it turns out that the thermal boost algorithm and a whole bunch of other things were degrading a thing inside the CPU called the clock tree, which is the source of all of the clocks in the chip, because not everything runs at 5 gigahertz, or 5.8 gigahertz or 6 gigahertz or whatever it is. Everything is sort of clocked differently, but everything has to interlock. Otherwise, you get integrity errors. And guess what degrades when the CPU gets too much voltage when it's too hot?
So you will get a motherboard BIOS update to fix it. You have to check your vendor.
And if you're experiencing stability issues, your CPU has already cooked.
And, again, Intel not having the best year so far, and their biggest competitor is certainly trying to capitalize on that.
The TechSpot headline says that AMD could launch Ryzen 7 9800X 3D early to steal Arrow Lake's thunder. AMD's had a little bit of a stumble launching their 9000 series CPUs between Windows updates and their own messaging being off the mark. The 9800X 3D could be an opportunity for AMD to redeem themselves, so that could be part of any kind of impetus to try to rush and get it out the door. But also Arrow Lake looks like it's going to be pretty strong, so we'll see.
Now, one thing that we can always count on is that when somebody comes out with a really horrible anti-consumer type of thing, but it makes money, it will immediately be picked up by every other company. And so YouTube did it first. Was it Roku?
Yeah,
Roku.
Roku and YouTube, the app. And now LG says, yes, we would like that as well.
LG's TVs start showing ads on screensavers. Somebody in the office helpfully connected the LG TV to the Wi-Fi, which was deliberately not on the Wi-Fi. It has downloaded an update, and now every time you turn it on, it's like 12 seconds of mandatory bar at the bottom of the screen. It's like, this is all the stuff that I can do. And you have to just mash close 50 times to get it to go away, or it goes away on its own after like 30 seconds. It's infuriating.
It's so terrible.
It makes my skin itch.
Yeah. And it's like, why did you add the TV to the Wi-Fi? And it's like, I thought that would be the reasonable thing to do. And it's like, you've obviously never owned a smart TV.
Well, another thing, Krista, that might make your skin itch is horrible radioactive fallout.
It might just make it peel off.
It depends on how much you get.
Yeah.
But let's hope that doesn't happen. However, the big names, the big money, the serious people have decided we're going back to the nuclear age.
Wall Street warms to nuclear power as banks, including Goldman Sachs, reportedly back new push. Now, historically, Goldman Sachs was against nuclear power and actually funded a lot of pro-environmental groups to weaponize people that want a better planet in order to drive oil prices higher, which again is one of those things that when you sort of figure that out, it is like, where did the money for this come from? And then you look at that, and then you look at those people, and you figure out those motivations. And then you think, my God, is everything in modern life designed to manipulate you? What a sad existence.
So what changed? Well, what changed was the demand picture. The demand picture is going to enter a phase where fossil fuels aren't going to do it anymore. We have to have nuclear. Or else we can't have more AI. And we have to have more AI because the line's got to go up. So we're going to get it. When I say we, I don't mean like my house.
Yeah, no, not residential. Never residential. Never for the citizens.
It turns out we were never part of that decision. It's like all the tree-hugging hippies or non-tree-hugging hippies. Literally, neither one of those groups mattered.
But here's a man who matters because he has a lot of money, and he has decided, once again, no mention of the metaverse here, right? Are we still doing that? But we are doing augmented reality.
Meta's big tease, Orion is an impressive demo of AR glasses. And I watched these to try to figure out more about it. They had Jensen there from NVIDIA and a bunch of others. And they cut the video together to make everybody that saw it look really super impressed.
No, I think those were all genuine reactions.
I mean, if
they might have been.
If this piece of hardware approaches similar capabilities to Apple's headset, that is a better hardware design.
It is. I mean, it's still a pretty thick pair of glasses, but
comfortable glasses.
But it's not the giant thing.
My lazy eye correcting glasses.
Yeah.
It's not just the glasses either. So you get the glasses, you get the wristband, which is your interfacing controls.
Neural interface.
And you get this puck, which must be worn. It has to be within 12 feet of the glasses, or they don't work at all.
It's going to be like, remember when the Wii came out and they had to put the wrist strap on?
Yeah.
People were throwing it, hitting their babies and stuff.
Well, this one lets you like move your fingers to do things. But it does have an interesting display capability where it's like projecting.
It's augmented reality.
No price on it yet. It was a very controlled environment.
Yeah.
So we don't know that much about it. This is an interesting headline considering the recent past, right? We all have to be a little bit more suspicious of our battery-containing devices, and there are so many, and some of them we stuff into our tender orifices.
Samsung Galaxy Buds FE reportedly exploded in a user's ear, causing permanent hearing loss.
So
Another reason to hate earbuds.
this person claims he had the receipt for the earbuds, he had the receipt for the hospital, he had the doctors in writing saying, yes, this was an earbud blowing up in your ear that destroyed your hearing. And he took all that to Samsung, and they're like, we could give you another set of earbuds. That's the best we could do.
Do you want to really just permanently deafen yourself?
I mean, you still got one ear, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we just need to send you one because you won't need the other one. So after this gets pressed, maybe he'll get some relief.
I'd say there's a lawyer that'll handle that pro bono, and he'll come out way
Yeah.
far ahead.
I say it was a dude that bought the headphones, but it was actually his girlfriend that it blew up in her ear.
That sucks.
That's rough.
And Windows has been on a bit of a tear lately, just ripping out all of the utilities out of Windows 11. They're like, you don't need those things, and now we're getting one for Windows Server.
Admins using Windows Server update services are up in arms as Microsoft deprecates the feature. This is a handy utility to let you pick and choose which updates from Windows Update you wanted to deploy to your fleet of Windows systems, but Microsoft found that most people misuse it and updates don't get applied in a timely fashion, so now this is why we can't have nice things.
So what are we going to do instead? Of course, we're going to use the cloud. Just
Oh.
use the cloud, bro.
What an excellent vector for deploying malware.
And here's another great vector for deploying malware. Just don't give your users a choice.
Kaspersky deletes itself because it's on the naughty list and installs UltraAV antivirus without warning. It's like, well, what are we going to do? We can't sell to U.S. customers anymore. I know. We'll let somebody else install their antivirus.
Without prompting you at all or asking you if you want to uninstall anything. It just happened.
Just there.
Yeah. Well, I guess they didn't have much of a choice, but they could have maybe done that a little better. And artificial intelligence must now be put into everything. We know that. But I could not have expected this one.
This isn't really even AI, but
Well, neither is half the things that we call AI.
PC World's headline is HP printers apparently have AI now because of course they do. What this AI does, it's a beta print driver, and when you try to print something, it's like, well, you're trying to print a web page, but it's literally filled with ad garbage. So the AI tries to figure out how it would make sense to print the page, and it reorganizes the page to be more printer friendly, which actually doesn't seem like a terrible use of, like, I would not have expected HP to come up with something useful.
Yeah.
Usually they visit horror upon their users.
But you can also apparently talk to it. Like it'll say, hey, I think it should print like this. And you can type and say, no, do this, this, and this. So there is kind of a language model component going on there. And we all knew this was coming because every other streaming service has done it. And none of them have been facing the mass exodus that they should have. Why? Why did you let them do this?
Disney officially launches password sharing Crackdown with a paid sharing program. So you can pay a little extra and then let a user outside your household watch something, which is an interesting take on it.
But it will be cheaper than if they got their own plan. But it's still pretty high. It's like $10, right? For the basic.
I thought there was a really amazing, I think it was on like the Netflix user forums, or it was some user forum that a lot of the Netflix people hang out on for ideas. And it was an idea from a guy who's like, every month you get 3 Netflix tokens, and you can send a link to your friends. And if you don't use the tokens, you build up the tokens. But if you have a show that you want somebody to watch, you can send them a link, and it'll use one of the tokens, and they can watch the show. Or you can watch it together, and it'll synchronize, so they're playing it on their end, and you're playing it on your end, and you can watch it together with a little chat. And it's like, that seems like a reasonable way to deal with that. You can give somebody access, and they can request, and it'll use a token.
Is that per episode?
I mean, probably.
Depends on how they want to implement it, yeah.
And maybe you get more than 3 a month. Maybe 10 a month or 5, or, I don't know. But that seems way more reasonable than whatever that is. Because like when you would buy shows on DVD, like I totally let people borrow my episodes of Star Trek.
Don't admit that.
It's like, here's the DVD. You go watch it and give it back to me.
Filthy pirate.
Well, I mean, I don't know that they made a copy of the DVD. I got it back.
Do you guys remember what was it, like 3-4 months ago at this point, when Sony said, hey, we're going to make everybody who plays Helldivers register a PlayStation account.
They never recovered from that.
And everybody was like, nah, bro, we're just going to stop playing Helldivers. And everybody in the Sony boardroom said, let's learn a lesson from this. Well, guess what? That's a fantasy. That did not happen because those people will never make that decision.
Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, wait, what? Forces PSN login for PC users if they decide to upgrade.
It's also $10.
What are we remastering here, fellas?
It'll look prettier. I thought the game was pretty enough on its own.
Yeah.
And what was that? Was
It's not that old.
5 years maybe?
Not
Yeah.
even.
They got nothing left in the creative department, right?
No.
Like they have no ideas, and they're just like, keep remaking things.
It's literally, we've got all these game assets in the source code. What can we do with 2 interns and some AI?
Did I just duplicate this?
You did, yeah. YouTube Premium's going up.
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, there was a missort. Oh, no.
Oh, no, here we go.
This is security.
We didn't do this one yet.
I might have screwed this whole thing up. Oh, let's talk about the security stories.
Critical, unauthenticated remote code execution flaw impacts all GNU Linux systems.
But what is it?
Cups.
No one knows.
It's cups.
They didn't give us any details.
It's cups.
And they did not create a CVE yet.
It's cups.
Windows spreads a little misinformation.
Turn off your printing daemon. It's literally printing. The printer daemon, if you got your printer daemon listening on the internet, there's a feature or bug in the printing daemon where it accepts random stuff from the internet. And then when you go to print, it's like, oh, let me query the printer. The printer could be at an arbitrary IP address in Russia. Like the print daemon trusts the printer where it says it would like to be addressed, including when it's in another country. And then that can result in, when you do a print job, running arbitrary executable code on your computer. Because of course it can.
And there's probably some arbitrary executable code that's being run at your ISP and not any code that they want for to be running there.
China-linked hackers breach U.S. internet providers in a new assault Typhoon Cyberattack, quote unquote. This is trying to get more and deeper access into infrastructure, but they were caught. This is probably going to be an interesting story for Intrigue. Turns out buying firewalls and telecommunications gear that doesn't really have the most secure supply chain in the world, not a fabulous idea.
Another not fabulous idea is taking something that doesn't have to be on the internet and putting it on the internet for convenience. Because guess who's on the internet?
Kansas Water Facility switches to manual operations following cyber attack. All their internet connected automation, it's bad. I was reading a comment about this one, and it was like a 4chan green text, and it's like and it was like from a cybersecurity researcher. It's like whenever I'm feeling lonely, I connect to like Saskatchewan Wash and Go. I found that the car wash machine was connected to the internet, and so I just run the spinner for a few extra cycles to feel better about things. And it's like, okay.
I don't think these people were looking to feel better about anything.
No.
I think they were trying to make a lot of people feel a lot worse.
Yeah.
So they won't tell us exactly what happened, but the assumption is that this was ransomware. And so they've pulled off all the connected things, and the water they claim is fine.
They claim. I mean, hopefully it is.
And we learned last week that Iran allegedly was hacking the Trump campaign, which might not have had the best cybersecurity. And even after all those headlines, some people in the Trump campaign still don't have good cybersecurity.
Trump hack continued into last week. So from the initial hack, you identify all the people involved, and then you start hacking the individual people involved. It's just going to go ad infinitum. It's kind of like once you've been ransomwared, you're now a target for ransomware well into the future.
This is presumably where the J.D. Vance dossier came from, and how we know that it was still going on at least mid-September, because that one had not been previously reported. And Google Play, once again, not doing a great job of working on those supply chain attacks.
11 million devices infected with botnet malware hosted in Google Play. Necro. So this is a follow-up from last week where we talked a little about set-top boxes and Necro, but this is in Google Play applications as well, it turns out.
Do not trust those apps.
Because no one really monitors anything in Google Play.
Well, there are some people that monitor things, though. There are people who monitor a lot of things, and they use specific technology to do that. And a lot of countries play it fast and loose with, are we allowed to just monitor the opposition or the reporters or whatever? And some companies who clearly market to them have been catching some heat.
The TechCrunch headline is Internet surveillance firm Sandvine says it's leaving 56 quote-unquote non-democratic countries. The Level1 text headline, somewhat in inflammatory nature, would be more along the lines of Sandvine must finally face reality that some of their customers use their software to find which orphans next go into the orphan crushing machine.
And it's been exhaustively reported on year after year.
Not wanting to be embarrassed by such headlines, they decided it's probably better we don't do business with those customers.
Those of you out there who are maybe thinking about being a snitch or a rat, just remember that once they're done with you, they don't care anymore. Once they get what they want, you're going to still catch some problems.
The Verge's headline is Carolyn Ellison sentenced to 2 years in jail for her role in the FTX fraud. But if you look at her cooperation with the prosecution, it was more along the lines of, isn't this how all large financial companies work? Oh, is that wrong? Should I not have done that? And the prosecutor said, oh, we shouldn't put her in jail. They put her in jail anyway because of the statutory minimums.
Sang like a bird, though.
Yeah. The judge even commented and said, we've never had a witness, like in all my long...
compliant.
Yeah. And it, from her, it might be that she's a good actress, but from what she did, it does seem like naive idiot.
And she didn't get a big piece of everything.
Well, she got $2 billion, but she was like, I just thought this was normal. Here you go. You can have it. I don't care.
She didn't benefit nearly as much as everybody else. So maybe not the smartest.
Yeah.
But she did kind of come out on top in the end, though, right? Other than the 2 years.
You think she'll get out early? Like, could you think if she had good behavior?
Probably, yeah. I don't know. It's
She'll
federal.
be the teacher's pet.
That's a federal charge, right? So it's
Yeah.
like 80%, 85%.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And oh boy, you think that eventually people's awareness of this kind of thing would hit a critical mass, but no, this is a constant problem, and I do not understand it. How could you believe this? How? Explain it to me.
Brad Pitt imposters arrested for scamming 2 women online out of $350,000. Pitt's rep reminds his fans that he has no social media presence.
Even if you did believe for some reason that Brad Pitt was contacting you, just in some world that's happening, in what world does he need a loan from me?
He's a very rich man.
Yeah.
We saw this exact same thing with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And again, men who are famous for their wealth, absolutely famous, and these gals, they just buy into it.
That makes no sense to me.
Interesting, though, that Brad is not on any kind of social media. That's a different kind of fame, right?
Or he's covering stuff up right now.
You think he was in the freak-offs?
No, I think a lot of stuff came out that he was abusing Angelina Jolie, and that's probably part of the reason he doesn't have social media anymore.
Okay, wouldn't he have gotten some before then? He was famous way before her.
I don't know, chat. Was
That
that
was-
the last story?
That was a really short one, too.
That was kind of a downer to end on.
We're working on making them longer but more conversational. So you got to give us, like more chat. Because sometimes it's like, let's do the headline. And it's like, it's obvious why we're giving you this beyond just the headline and the story and the importance of it. It's tragically bad. But sometimes we got to draw it out a little bit and be like, okay, this is hilariously terrible. But also, this is why we should talk about it. Or not. I don't know. I just like rambling.
All right. We're going to see you in the next one. Nonsense. Bye.